The key for releasing the reins is to understand how to lead rather than how to do it yourself. So I use a fantastic, actually, 4-step process, what I call the commercial leadership process. And those 4 steps are vision, mobilize, develop, and enable. So vision is, and I'm not talking vision, the one that's in the reception on the wall, I'm talking about visioning, the verb of visioning. So that verb of visioning is about get clear. So for a sales leader, there's things like obviously vision and mission and strategy, but also what the expectations are about how people show up, what the expectations are in terms of the level of competency that we expect, which do come after a time. It may be really clear in your organization or it may not.
You're listening to the Sales Today podcast, and I'm your host, Fred Copestake. On this podcast, we explore how sales professionals can develop a modern approach to winning business, the application of virtual selling techniques, how to create meaningful business relationships, and much more. Why not take our free collaborative selling scorecard to see how your sales approach suits today's environment? You'll find a link in the show notes. And welcome to this episode of the Sales Today podcast, where I'm delighted to be joined by Amanda Downs. Amanda is Director of Commercial at Uspire Partnership and also author of Step Up to Sales Leader. So Amanda, welcome.
Thank you. I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, no, so much to talk about because there's quite a lot in stepping up to be a sales leader.
Yeah,
really, isn't there?
there is. Yeah.
Oh, book's worth. So look, let's just get straight into it. What would you say are the biggest challenges that somebody has when they're asked to step up? So it paints the picture.
Yeah.
What typically happens and kind of what challenges that's going to give us?
As you might imagine, in my book, I have highlighted all of the challenges of stepping up to a sales leader. And the key issue is moving from being a fantastic salesperson, hence you get promoted, into managing a team. So when we talk sales leader, we talk about managing a team of salespeople. And the first challenge actually is about releasing the reins, which is number 2 in my acronym, the growth acronym. And I'm going to go there first because it is the most important. It's being able to step out of where you were previously, where you were a fantastic salesperson, where your customers loved you, where you were growing the revenue and profit, and really being able to stop and do something differently. So, yeah, that's the R in the growth framework. The G,
that's a classic though, isn't it? It's a classic to get to the best salesperson and go, oh, right, well, you can be manager then.
Yeah. So not only is it's one of the only, in fact, I think it is the only role in a business where you are immediately, on day one, responsible for the revenue and profit of the business.
Yeah.
Because actually what happens is, even if you're given some kind of induction, sometimes not, sometimes quite long, actually they're looking to you straight away. And that can be quite daunting, quite scary, and quite lonely, actually. Especially if sales are looking dodgy.
Which is why you might have been promoted, because the previous manager couldn't make it work. So they've gone, in you go, sprinkle your magic across everybody else.
Well, yeah, and then the other side of the coin is if you've had a fantastically successful sales leader who's moved into a different board position or moved on, then you've got to step into their shoes, or you think you have, which you don't. You have to step into your own new shoes.
And how often are you seeing that people are just stepped up, on you go?
Very
what
often.
Do I get? New business.
Yeah.
Good luck to you.
Very often. And it's an interesting, and it's done with the absolute best intentions and with positive regard to say, you were brilliant, so here you go. And whilst the business is certainly an FMCG trade, it's a little bit more supportive than that, fair to say. But there are some of my clients where the salesperson has gone straight into either a crisis or a big strategy conversation or a big customer conversation with lots of opportunity, and simply has not had the chance to think about how they're going to be and behave and role model as the sales leader.
And Well, look, obviously I'm going down the darkest path here in the sort of
Go for
wherever
it.
you go on, do that, but and what happens then w in that scenario in that, you've got someone who's great, they're really good at their job.
Yeah.
In you go, you're the manager now. What happens when we're not preparing them properly, when we're not stepping them up in
Yeah.
a prepared way?
Well, usually a senior salesperson who's being moved into a sales leadership position is pretty good. Let's face it, pretty good. Really good at managing people, really good at making connections, and that's what they do. They make those connections. They support the team with the customer. Sometimes what happens is they don't quite let go, and therefore we get what's called the white knight syndrome, where in an appropriate moment they come galloping in with a sword and a shield to support and to kind of save the day. There's a bit of that goes on. But what usually happens is that actually quite a few months, possibly a year can go by, and you get to a point where you've got to do something that you didn't know or you've not really done properly in the past in a previous role. For example, write a strategy. So write a sales strategy, for example, a commercial strategy. Think about kind of higher purpose. And actually, that's the point often where I wonder, I don't know. If I'm honest, I haven't done that before. And I'm being asked to write a sales strategy, which is, reasonably complex. Although, it's not rocket science once you know how to do it, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
therefore, yeah, it's a great example.
because they've been in position long enough to be doing a decent enough, almost like operational role,
Right. Yeah.
using their smarts, using the people
Yeah.
skills that they've got
Yeah.
because they're a good salesperson,
Yeah.
and suddenly a leadership task comes along and it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
don't know how to do it. Well, why would you?
Yeah.
Why would you? I
No.
don't believe salespeople are born anyway. But sort of sales leaders, again, there's things that you have to learn how to do it.
Yeah, and strategy is a great one because what we sales leaders like to do is sell, and therefore we tend to stay in the weeds rather than up there riding the wave or looking where the next wave's coming from. And just therefore strategy in a book is a strategy on a page, which again is nothing particularly new, but it reminds us that actually we need to think in a different way as leaders. And importantly, I am a massive believer that with almost every decision in a business, that your team should be involved.
Yeah.
Your team need to be there with you rather than, oh my God, I think I'm supposed to write a strategy. I'm going to go away into a quiet room and I'm going to write one and then I'm going to present it and everybody's going to do what I think is the right thing, which is one of the big mistakes.
Yeah. Just as a little sidebar then, and we'll sort of come back into the sort of the thrust of conversation. I mean, you talked about the kind of the white knight. What's your thoughts on the player coach? So a sales manager who has also got a target, and that target is an individual
Yeah.
one, not the sum of the team's target.
Yeah. I think that depends. I absolutely know what you mean. And it is a real challenge. And it depends how many other salespeople they've got. That can kind of work with 1 or 2 or 3 direct reports, salespeople to be coaching yourself. As soon as that changes, as soon as that gets bigger, just doesn't work for me, doesn't work for me. Now, and often you find that the sales leader is given the biggest account to manage,
Yeah.
which is honestly, I thoroughly recommend against it.
Which is the most important, it's got the highest value, it needs that attention. If we lose
The
that,
Yeah,
our whole targets are coming
yeah,
down. And what you're
absolutely.
saying then is if there's a couple, and maybe that's needs must, okay.
Yes, it
But
may
if
well well be.
it's because the others won't get the attention. They won't get
Yeah,
what they need to be good at their role, will they?
yeah. My advice is to give the biggest account to one of your team, the most able team member probably, and then coach, train, mentor, and develop them to with you but by their side, probably ideally slightly behind them, and allow them to shine in that role.
Awesome. Right. I took us slightly off track here.
Yeah.
Um, because you mentioned a structure, you mentioned an acronym. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a sucker for an acronym.
Are you?
I
Good,
need a
good.
structure. I need a structure. I
Yeah.
need something to hang best practice in. I need something to reference and from a training point of view, pass on or let people visualize that. So you've got one, which is cool. So what is it? High level overview,
Yeah.
and then we'll
Okay.
dig
So
in.
the first thing I'll say, it is a framework, and it's a framework and a toolkit, as opposed to a step-by-step structure, despite despite the fact that there's some steps on the front of the book. So so it's a growth framework. It's called the Sales Leader Growth Toolkit. G stands for goals for growth, within which we talk about vision, purpose, mission, strategies, objectives, and KPI frameworks. The Release the Reins chapter is all about what we just talked about, avoiding being the one who goes in and steals the deal, and rather being the one who is getting the results and helping the sales team to seal the deal. And within that, certainly for a new team, I do recommend going back to the good old 30, 60, 90 day. And there's a whole table of questions to ask yourself in terms of that 30, 60, 90 days, what to do, as well as some thoughts around how to lead. Opportunities and options, or right in the sales wheelhouse there. Some thoughts around how exactly do you go about finding opportunities. I talk about something called the magic matrix, which is who's buying what, who isn't buying what. Start there, because that's the best way to grow sales, but also a whole long list of things to ask internally. If sales start to decline, it may not be directly as a result of something your sales team has done. So that's opportunities. That's the O. W is for ways of working. I'm a massive believer in deciding how you're going to role model. And within the book, we talk about the 6 hats. So the role model 6 hats is ways of working. I can see you've got one there. Yours is orange. I'll ask you about that later. The T is for training. I'm as a sales training consultant for the last 20 years. I'm a massive ambassador, but make sure you as the leader who are responsible for your own training, nobody else is, just you. And it's not all about courses, and it's not all about away days. Actually, it's about on the job, regular capability build. That's training. And then the H is about harnessing value. So there's 2 sets of value. One is value, so your value proposition, which is there, like I talk about it like a rocket, a value rocket. You light the touch paper as a leader and with a leadership team, and then what's supposed to happen is it whizzes up into the air, and by the time it explodes with sparkles, it's in front of the customer with energy and amazingness. And what happens is it becomes a damp squib, because what happens is you get leaks. You get leaks through the business. So I talk about how to harness value through the whole business, not because everybody's responsible for sales, right? And therefore, how to harness that. And then real big one of mine is how to live by values. So how do you decide what your values are that you're going to operationalize, that you're going to live into, and help your team to be the same? Because it's a massive differentiator. The way, for example, when there's a problem, how you step into those values to be able to sort that problem. So there you go. That's the acronym.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So framework. Yeah. I say you threw me because I'm looking at the book here.
I know it is step, but yeah. It's
We're
kind of
stepping up. We're stepping up. It's not steps, but
step up. There are 5. There are 6 hats to use to wear as a sales leader. Yeah.
cool. So okay, we'll scoot through these. A couple I made a little note on. So
Yeah.
release the energy and harness value. I really want to go into a little bit more depth.
Mm-hmm.
I could talk all day about training.
Of course. I'm sure you've done that in a lot of your other podcasts.
Generally. No, but the fact what you said there. But let's just go through in order then, because someone we can probably not tick off. I don't want to sort of do that, but just we can cover reasonably quickly. So goals for growth. You were talking about sort of the classic, vision, purpose, mission, setting out, kind of this is where we're going, this is how we're going to get there type thing.
Yeah, and some templates to be able to do that. So it's and the book has got some templates on the website that you can take immediately and use. So some templates to literally pick up and run with some advice in the book about how to do that with your team.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that one.
Cool. I love a template. Is everyone lazy? and I've got to use my limited brain space for the actual thinking rather than think about the thinking that I've got to do. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And and the other thing is, sometimes people think they've got to reinvent the wheel themselves. So certainly in strategy, you can get on the internet and there's books and books and books and books and books about it. Actually, it is relatively straightforward as a sales leader, unless you're deciding you need to acquire a couple of new companies or whatever it might be, but which actually is your role as well. But certainly your role to identify those opportunities. But yeah, the getting going is key.
Getting going. Let's talk about this release the reins then. You've alluded to
Yeah.
it already. This is, I think you said that this is stop. You can't do it all. You're not going to
Yeah.
carry on being the best salesperson and the manager as well.
Yeah.
Something has got to give here.
Yeah. So already mentioned the thinking about your plan of action. If you are brand new into a team or you're brand new into a business, to make sure you've got those questions in your head about what you're going to do in each month of your first 90 days. The key for releasing the reins is to understand how to lead rather than how to do it yourself. So I use a fantastic, actually, 4-step process called what I call the commercial leadership process. And those 4 steps are vision, mobilize, develop, and enable. So vision is, and it's not, I'm not talking vision, the one that's in the reception on the wall, talking about visioning, the verb of visioning. So that verb of visioning is about get clear. So for a sales leader, there's things like obviously vision and mission and strategy, but also what the expectations are about how people show up and what the expectations are in terms of the level of competency that we expect, which do come after a time. It may be really clear in your organization or it may not. So, it's your role to make sure that it is. Mobilize is really important. Mobilize is about getting going. So, depending on your personality style, one might like to do lots of research and talking to people, or one might want to just get on with it. And I've been a get on with it type of a leader in the past, and I've gone in like a bull in a china shop, actually. And therefore, we've got to think carefully about how to mobilize and what to mobilize. And that's about training and KPIs, feedback, getting it, lots of it before you give it. Mentoring, and then deciding what the role model is that you need, both the role model for the whole business in front of the customer, but also your own role model. Then we go on to developing.
Yeah.
Developing is about getting better. If visioning is getting clear and mobilizing is getting going, then developing is getting better. So, and a lot of teams have fallen into that trap of, I don't know, we need to be better at negotiation, or we need to have loads of away days, or whatever it might be. Now, they absolutely have their place, but the developing is how to get better at what you're already clear on and what you've already mobilized. So an away day with, I don't know, some new way of working early on for a sales leader is not the thing to do at all. And it's about developing what you've got then. And then the final one's enabling, which is there will be individuals, and there will be individuals, and there will be processes, and there will be customers who are doing brilliantly. Leave them alone. Delegate. That's really hard. It's really hard to do. And it's a letting go thing, like it's the release the reins things, right? So, things like customer excellence and the high performing team, delegation, your inspiration, how you're motivating people, how you make sure they're resilient. It's all about enabling stage. No point helping people with resilience if you don't actually know if you're not clear about direction and mobilization.
You could see that being a tough one when I do it like that. If that's not you anymore, you've got a different job. That person's doing it their way. And
it's
the guidance
doing
and the
brilliant.
structure and everything else, they will get
Yeah.
there. Just 'cause it's not yours doesn't mean it's not as good. Could be better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And it's that, okay, check in. It's that checking up, checking in, not checking up.
Yeah.
And it's that, lean in to make sure that they feel that an individual who's enabled, for example, feels supported and challenged in an appropriate way. just leave it alone.
Yeah. I love that though. Get clear, get going, get better, got there.
Yeah,
Nice.
exactly.
Nice one. Because there's this other thing that can happen, isn't there, when you're promoted to be boss of the team you were in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
These are your peers,
Yeah,
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 and to doing they still are, but you have now got a different role you're playing with them.
yeah.
People get a bit
And
stuck there, don't they?
yeah, they do get stuck. And actually, again, it's the first chapter in the book is about setting up for success. And it's actually about what are your expectations of yourself? So giving yourself some time, and not many people do, but giving yourself some time to go, how am I going to manage Fred, who's been there for 20 years and is doing a flipping good job with his key customers and might even have gone for the same job.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Might have done. And therefore, how am I going to, with humility and empathy and compassion, how am I going to take Fred with me, pretty much almost on my shoulder by my side, as opposed to Fred, hopefully you've been promoted because you haven't got this approach to leadership, but Fred might think you're going to tell him what to do.
Yeah, that's why Fred didn't get the job. That's what he
Possibly. And therefore they're expecting that. So that this is why the role model of how you're going to show up as a sales leader is really, really important. Because actually Fred is probably your biggest ally and your biggest influencer and the team leader who's going to bring many, many functions as well as the team with them.
Because everyone's looking, how's Fred reacted? What does
Yeah.
Fred reckon to all
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Awesome. Right, let's keep go through growth. The whole of growth. So we've got next up is opportunities and options.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What's that all about? Remind us.
Yeah, so opportunities and options is about if sales there's a massive checklist of who to ask what if sales are looking dodgy, if sales are down, or if you're looking for a strategy to grow. So either way, there's a big long 2 pages of checklist to ask the right type, that ask people about where it might come from or what might be happening, which is really useful. The main thing in opportunities and options is how to gather and how to harness the value of the whole team, because somewhere in your business, usually someone's had an idea that could work. We've got to find a way of harnessing that. So I call them big bets. What are the big bets that might work and how do you prioritize them? There are some templates in there in the book to do that. And the key is to look at, and again, I'll come back to, if you're in new business, then to take heed from what's happening in the existing business. In the existing business, it's that magic matrix. The magic matrix is customers along the side, your products and services along the top, ticks, crosses. Do they take them all? Probably not. If they don't take them all, do they know about them? Possibly not. And if they do know about them, when did you last talk to them about them? And that is a massive growth opportunity just on potentially a flip chart, potentially a spreadsheet, to be able to look and say, right, okay, I'm just going to go back over the availability, the distribution if you're in products, but also the knowledge and the understanding if you're in a service.
Oh, in my head, that is now a spreadsheet and there's colours on it.
Yeah.
There's red, amber, green
Traffic
going on
light.
in it. There's white. It's white space analysis anyway.
RAG. Yeah, all of that. Yeah. It's gap analysis. Yeah. There's a gap analysis tool, but actually any gap analysis tool, that's what it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's get to about that then. Just why make life difficult when we can make things easy? And there could be a real reason for it. Okay, black it out or whatever.
Yeah.
Great,
and when it comes to customers, when it comes to new business, is that, but on a slightly higher level. Which customers are most served? Which customers have we spoken to? Which customers are most likely to say yes and when, so that you can prioritize. And then there's a kind of good old Boston matrix about prioritizing, the strategics and the quick wins and the dump its and the get on with it list.
All right. I'm still surprised how many people haven't come across Boston not so much, but the Eisenhower matrix for prioritization.
Yeah.
Haven't seen that. You should almost be taught. First day, have you seen this? Yes. Well, we're going to tell you again.
Yeah.
Have you seen this? No. Well, we're going to tell you. It's like either way, you're getting
Yeah.
a refresher on it.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
waste so much time rushing around.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
listening.
if you're selling a product or the ingredients for a product or whatever that might be, is it available to be sold to, is it available where it needs to be, is one of the absolute keys. I'm a massive, I always go there first with my clients. Have you got availability and have you got distribution?
Yeah.
Because if you haven't, go there first.
Yeah. No one can buy it. They can't pull it through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next up on the agenda, I think we've touched on this a couple of times. I feel as though the model kind of sits around this almost, is the ways of working. Because a role model, we've talked about role modeling and all these things so far. You can role model anyway, can't you? And I suspect the next couple we can too.
Yeah. I've got some, including that, I put in the book a couple of attitudes around ways of working for the leader. And the two attitudes that I just love, there are two really important attitudes that when I learned them, it was a bit of a game changer for me. I know it sounds really grand, but it really was. And certainly as a sales leader, and also when I'm managing customers and clients, as I still do, is that are the twin attitudes of positive regard and genuineness. Now, positive regard says that however an individual is showing up for you, however they're behaving at that moment, well, not well, whatever, in your opinion, they come to work to do a good job. They come to work to do their best. And therefore, as a human being, it's our role, our job in terms of is to work with them with respect and with positive regard. It comes from a counselling term. It's a counselling term, actually, unconditional positive regard, whatever is going on. So the key question in terms of ways of working when you're working directly with an individual or with a team is like, what's going on for them? And how might that impact the way that they're working with you? So that's the first one. And you literally look through different lenses at them. It's really, really useful. And then once you have positive regard for somebody as a human being, and this works for customers, when a customer comes at you, not happy about something as much as anything else, it's genuineness. Now, genuineness, if I regard you positively as a human being, I have to give you genuine feedback. And therefore, I will give you genuine, balanced, constructive feedback, positive, lots of, and reinforcement, and negative. And that way of working, if you do that consistently from day one, or train it to your team at the same time as learning it yourself, is really helpful. It's such a game changer in terms of the way you work with people.
Yeah. The positive regard is interesting. I've seen this in training rooms where people get really upset about stuff, and then kind of everyone gets really animated and even angry and stuff. And that's brilliant. Let it go. And then people still go, sorry about that. And it's like, don't worry about it. It's because you care.
Yeah.
It's because you care.
Absolutely.
Rather than if you didn't care, be like, yeah, whatever, come on, next.
It's genuineness, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm genuinely going to tell you how I think it is. Yeah, so that's one of the key elements of ways of working. And the other one, you will love this one, I know, Fred, is being able to ask the right question at the right time, in the right way, to the right person.
Yeah, is that all?
Yeah. And it is a life skill. It's a life skill, isn't it? Constant work in progress for everybody, right?
It is constant work in progress. It is constant work in progress. If anyone says, nah, questioning skills, done that, completed it. Really?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I train it, I coach it, and I role model it as much as I can. So in the book, there's some thoughts around how to ask the right types of questions, with the right kind of words, so that can work. Yeah. So questioning
and so are we touching
absolutely.
on coaching now then? Is that where we're sort of role modeling, we're sort of passing into the you've called training, I suspect the acronym, but we're getting into coaching by asking the right questions and helping people to get their heads around stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the T for training, it's train and coach. Yeah. Train and coach. Yeah.
Same thing.
Training coach yourself as much as anybody else.
Train and coach yourself.
Yeah. So at the end of each chapter, there's some self-coaching questions.
When you say train and coach yourself, is it literally try to coach yourself with reflective questions, or are you saying take responsibility for developing yourself as an individual? Because
I am, yeah.
you,
I am, absolutely.
you don't know
Yeah.
how to do this stuff.
Yeah.
You're new to it. There's
Yeah.
a lot to it. So keep building, keep
And
stepping
that's
up.
that's the humility. And also in there are a couple of other chapters once we've been through the structure, and one of which is what's stopping you, and the other one's making it happen. And in the what's stopping you chapter, I took, and all of this comes up with my coaching clients, is the imposter syndrome. Like, I am going to kind of try to be perfect, or I am going to hide what I don't know, or I'm going to mask my lack of knowledge in a certain area by the behavior comes out in a different way, when really I'm not sure how to do it. So that kind of looks like the monkey on your shoulder that's saying you can't do that. What are you doing? What are you doing in this job? But I've had that with a book, to be honest. I don't know whether you did, but does anybody
All
know how to
three.
read this? Oh, don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, don't get any better.
Yeah, it's that self-doubt, which is a great thing, because if you've got self-doubt is your unconscious brain saying you work that through before you do it or not,
Well, actually, some days it was, this is bloody genius. I'm amazing.
What was it?
And then
Well,
probably
of
the
course you are, Fred.
response the next day was, cool. Is that even
What?
right? What?
Yeah.
Should I
Yeah.
say that? Can I do it?
Yeah.
It's a weird one.
absolutely.
It is a very, very weird
Yeah.
one, isn't it?
And the other one around ways of working, which I have actually put into the making it happen section, is around creating a rhythm of touch points. So for touch points, they might be touch points with yourself in terms of how you spend time, just making sure that you're grounded and making sure that you've got space. One-to-one touch points with team, with cross-functional colleagues, and then importantly, and I would say this, wouldn't I, but also touch points with other experts in your field, and touch points with other industry members, network with other industry people, and your touch point in terms of what thoughts are you leading, which is a bit scary, actually. It's kind of a new concept in terms of thought leadership, but actually what you leading in the industry.
Actually leading in the industry.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I'm going to do some thought leadership. Nah, it's ChatGPT.
Yeah. Where is it that your customers are expecting you to lead?
Oh, now are we crossing into the value piece?
Yeah.
It's like these are linked, Amanda. It's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, the value pieces, again, I'll go back to the value rocket. Leaders sit in meetings going, yeah, we've got all this sorted, just get them on the case, mobilize, let's go, like the touch paper. And actually, one of the things that is critical, and you see this, you'll see this, things like negotiation skills, you come in to talk about negotiation, and really the deep understanding of what's actually being sold and the benefits of it to a particular customer are missed. So the what's being sold and the benefits to a particular customer, to me, in my Amanda speak, is value proposition. And therefore, there is a value proposition for your business, your whole business. There's a value proposition for every function in your business, because they will all be doing amazing things which are contributing to the amazingness of your business. And then, of course, there are what comes out the end of the rocket. You need to be really, really clear about how good that is, what the value is to your customer and their customers, or their users, or their employees, whatever it is that you're selling. And yeah, and the key skill, I don't know whether you've seen this, Fred, but the key skill, especially since COVID, is around storytelling.
Yeah.
It's that, how do you tell the story in the right way, using the right examples at the right time, internally and externally. So for me, one of the hat around in terms of harnessing value is chief value storyteller.
Chief value storyteller. I like
Chief value storyteller, yeah.
Yeah. So I'd probably have it as chief value referee, as in like making sure that people are telling the stories with the customer as a hero. And
Yeah,
not
good.
like,
Yeah,
no, that's about us. They don't care
yeah,
about that. We've
yeah, yeah,
not put them at the heart of it.
yeah,
That
yeah,
is
yeah,
going to, that rocket's a damn squib. That's why it's damn squib, because it's all about us. We.
yeah,
Ain't gonna work.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a leak, isn't it? It's a leak. It's a
It's always, yeah,
absolutely
you call it a lead. Yeah.
the
Okay,
leak.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. And then
I like that.
values from a
And
values perspective.
values is
Yeah,
the
from a
other.
values perspective. And again, I don't, have you read Mike Adams' 7 Stories Every Salesperson Should Tell?
I think I have.
I always give him a plug. In fact, he's done a little bit in the book. I always give him a plug. He talks about choose the story, well, as you just described as a referee, choose the story that's appropriate to the moment.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself in a situation where there is a problem for a customer,
Yeah.
as the leader, your role is to support and train and coach your team to be able to manage that in the right way. And one of the brilliant ways to do that is when, let's say it's a product and there's no supply, it's out of stock. We're all going to have a bit of that with the current crisis going on. And you haven't got the right solution ready for them. Rather than hiding it, or dare I say, and you know what, there was plenty of this when I was growing up in sales, lie. Rather than that, to be transparent and respectful and trusting and honest. Because when you are in a crisis is when your values come to the fore and customers and human beings appreciate it. So it's an example of the type of story to tell at the right time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So values for me are critical. And in the book, I talk about, I'm a massive advocate of Brené Brown, who is huge on values. And she says, never have more than 2 that you're working on at once, because you can't really live into many more values than that as an individual. But if you can find out what the 2 key values of all of your team members are, you're going to have a fantastic set of values that you can tell the stories about and use as a framework for your stories, which your customers are going to love.
Yeah. No. And that they are aligned to them. Because what I've found is if you're not aligned to the values, then there's going to be conflict and people kick off because they will be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's only recently I've really understood that for myself. So recently. And then why do I kick off? Because it's stuff I don't want to do. I don't like it. It's not in alignment with values. When it is, rocket fuel.
Exactly. Rocket fuel. Yeah.
It's always like that.
I remember once going into a head office of a big brand in this country, and one of the they had values on the wall, or statements on the wall, whatever. And one was courage and respect, or whatever, trust. And one of them was cost conscious. A value of cost conscious. And every single individual that I ever spoke to in that organization said it's not the right thing to be a value here. Cost consciousness is because it sounds like tightness, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to understand what it
sounds like tightness
and why it would be beneficial.
And somebody had been on a away day and not involved many people and decided that was going to be a value. It was actually a strategy.
Yes.
Yeah. So and the leader absolutely needs to live into the values. Again, I used to work in one organization where the leader, we ended up with some stuff on the wall one day. Go away the weekend and come back, it's all on the wall. And the leader was asked, what's that all about? Because there was no, they'd been on an away day and there was no communication. And he said, oh yeah. And he said, oh, that pile of, yeah. And I'm like, what the heck is that? The role model? How are you role modeling there? Anyway, there we are. It's olden days, Fred, olden days.
Oh, the good old days. Oh, my word. That is awesome. As I say, I love a framework. I love how we can hang and place different bits in it to be easier for people to make sense of. You don't really make sense of it very, very quickly, which is the whole point. And I hope that people will, or certainly the people who are stepping up, or maybe if you're someone who's responsible for helping people stepping up, we'll use this
Exactly.
as
Yeah,
a
exactly.
resource. So, well, where do they find the book first up?
Mhm. So the book launches on the 20th of April on Amazon. The Kindle version will be 99p on the 20th of April if you'd like to grab one quickly. And it's also in all the major now I'm not going to say it's in all the major bookshops, but it is listed by all the major bookshops in the UK, US, and Ireland.
Awesome. And where do people find you? Because they
So
might
you
have heard
find
this and think, oh,
yeah.
I'm going to read the book, but I want to talk to Amanda. I want it from, I'm going to
Well,
say the
if
horse's
you
mouth. That's not very flattering, but you know what I mean.
the quickest and easiest way to find me is on LinkedIn. So please do connect with me on LinkedIn if you would love to. I would love to connect with your listeners. And then my email address, do you normally put that in the podcast, or do you like me to read it out?
You can read it out. It's up to you.
Yes,
If you want to
Amanda
emails.
Amanda at theuspirepartnership.com.
Awesome. Well, we will pop those into the show notes anyway, so that people can access them dead easy. But awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming along and sharing that, taking us through the whole model, giving us the sort of the highlight bits, and it's really just an appetizer, isn't it? So, Amanda, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Fantastic. Thank you for having me, Fred.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Today podcast with me, your host, Fred Copestake. I hope you've enjoyed what you heard today. If you did, please get in touch and hit subscribe. And remember, you can take the Collaborative Selling Scorecard for free to check out how your sales approach works in today's environment. You'll find it in the show notes.